What's up, guys? Matt right here for TheLines.com. Let's talk some Sunday Night Football. Bengals at the Ravens. Everything we do, absolutely free. As always, hit that subscribe button down below. Let us know in the comments how you are going to play the game. As we see, sitting right now here on Sunday morning, the hook has disappeared. It is now 3 Ravens, not 3.5 anymore. 47.5 is the prevailing total in this one. Guys, from an injury standpoint, pretty sure the hook all went away whenever we got news that Rashad Bateman and Justin Houston were definitely out in this game for the Ravens. Justice Hill also out for the Ravens in this one. If we're talking questionables, a couple of real big ones for the Ravens as well. Marcus Peters and Ronnie Stanley, both questionable. Both did not practice on Friday. That being said, Stanley got in full practices on Wednesday and Thursday. Friday might have just been a rest day to try to make sure he was definitely good to go here on Sunday, considering he hadn't played all year. But Peters not going on Friday, maybe not the greatest thing. On the Bengals side of things, 2 guys questionable, but according to Adam Schefter, both are going to go. T. Higgins, Hayden Hurst. But in Adam Schefter's little late Saturday night tweet storm that he puts out, he said that both guys are going to go in this one. I'll scroll a little bit further if you want to read along here. So, guys, this is pretty simple. I scooped up Bengals 3.5 as soon as it opened. I didn't think it was going to last. It lasted a lot longer than I thought, actually. This one, to me, is pretty straightforward. I have to still stick to my priors on Cincinnati. This isn't like a Colts situation where there's enough body of work and body of evidence here for me to bail on the Colts, right? I was just wrong about them. In Cincinnati, I don't think so. I think this offense is really good, and I think they're just going to continue to get better each and every week as we move forward. Remember, completely revamped offensive line. And sometimes these offensive lines, this is not my opinion, this is what I've heard from guys who used to play offensive line in the NFL, is that, this is it takes a while to gel. It takes a little bit to gel. And each and every week you get better and better and better, and you trust the guy around you when it's a complete remake like this. And so I do expect that to start to just be a little bit better for this team each and every week out there. And then further, the other deal is Joe Burrow didn't play at all in the preseason or, for a lot of camp. If you remember, he had an appendectomy, right? I mean, he had surgery. And so he wasn't out there, and I think he's looked a little rusty, but I think the last couple of weeks you've started to see the signs of Joe Burrow kind of turning the corner as well. And so that is what I am banking on here in this one. And further, I don't have to tell you, we know what we're getting in Baltimore's defense, right? It's just been giving up plays in chunks and bunches and everything like that, and specifically through the air. Can't stop anybody through the air. And if they are going to be without Marcus Peters, or if he's even limited, which, again, he had to kind of sit out that last game because of what was going on with him, and didn't practice on Friday this week. So even if he does go, he's certainly not 100% against the best trio of wide receivers in the NFL. And so as long as this offensive line can start to get a little bit better and keep Joe Burrow from getting blasted back there, everything should be okay. And listen, some of that starts to point towards maybe this happening in this game anyway, because, again, Justin Houston's not out there. Baltimore's 27th in the NFL in pressure rate as it is anyway. So they're towards the bottom, and now they're going to have to do it without one of their major guys. The OA has started to look pretty good for them on defense as far as getting pressure in on guys. Look, the Baltimore offense, it's been great. Weirdly enough, though, it has not been great running the ball. It's been great passing the ball, but no Rashad Bateman in this one. And then the other thing is Mark Andrews has been, just absolutely destroying people. But here's the thing. The one thing the Bengals bring to the table are 2 really, really good safeties in Bates and Bell. And so I think we're going to be able to find some success in covering Mark Andrews with these awesome safeties that they have. And, the corners have been playing great for Cincinnati so far as well. So I just think that when you really kind of just analyze this from, if you take a step back, if you do believe that what we've seen from an offensive standpoint from Cincinnati isn't who this team really is, and they are just going to take some steps forward, then that's kind of how we have to view this game, in my opinion. And that's how I am viewing this game. They're just going to get better each and every week, take advantage of a weak defense like Baltimore's putting out there that's not creating a bunch of pressure. And Joe Burrow should have time to kind of do his thing with 3 awesome receivers that he's got. Lamar's going to get his. Lamar's going to do some things where our jaws drop throughout the course of the game. But again, without Bateman being out there, Duvernay is now your number 1 wide receiver. really your de facto number one is Mark Andrews at that point. And I think that the matchup here for Cincinnati just works out really well with that being the case. Look over at some props here, and I know you think the obvious would be Chase or Higgins, but I'm going to look at Tyler Boyd from a receiving standpoint and think that he is the beneficiary as well of Joe Burrow and them going with the pass heavy game plan. Now listen, Zach Taylor's not the smartest guy out there. He's certainly not the sharpest coach. And if he goes out there and runs the ball into the middle of the line with Joe Mixon 25 times, then yes, they could lose this game for sure. I'm hoping that rational thinking takes over, but I've also lost bets thinking rational thinking takes over as well. So my thought is they go with a pass heavy approach. That is the path of least resistance. They've had no success running the ball all year long. So I would like to think that he takes advantage of a beat up secondary and those receivers, but hey, I've been wrong before with all that, but I'm going to roll with that as being the game plan and take the over on Tyler Boyd receiving yards. I'm going to come over here on Joe Burrow. Pass heavy approach means over on passing touchdowns. Now listen, I wouldn't play much more than 130-ish, 135-ish here on this. At that point, I would almost look for an alt and take the over on 2, or a lot of push equity in that. I understand, like you're gonna push a lot of times, but take the over in 2, or even take a big plus money number on the over 2.5 is kind of how I would look there for Burrow. But again, do like the pass heavy approach in this thing. And if that's the case, then from a same game parlay standpoint, I have to tell that story. So that story, Cincinnati keeping it within the 3.5, which you can still get the hook in the same game parlay over on DraftKings for whatever reason. Joe goes over 255. Although again, we're giving ourselves a little bit of a buffer. His passing prop, as we just saw, was set at over 270 yards. So we're giving us a 15-yard buffer there. Jamar Chase, over 64.5 yards. So we need 65 out of him. We need 50 out of Higgins, and then we need 35 out of Boyd. And if that's the case, that pays 6.5 to 1. So basically it's just Cincinnati does what they need to do to keep this thing within 3.5. Because if these things don't happen, most likely they're not keeping it within 3.5 anyway, right? So we're just kind of telling the story of how this happens. And if that's the case, you get paid out at 6.5 to 1 in this thing. Again, I'm going with the assumption of rational coaching. That's bit me in the ass before, but hopefully, hopefully Zach Taylor and company understand. Beat up secondary for Baltimore, not getting a lot of pressure on quarterbacks as it is anyway. Take advantage of Joe Burrow and those 3 receivers and move the ball down the field. If we see Joe Mixon coming out and running on first down a ton, well, then I might be wrong. I'm probably wrong, and maybe I'll be looking to kind of buy off my position or something at some point in game. Guys, everything we do, absolutely free here on the line. So please go ahead, subscribe. If you're, listen, if you watch these videos, we really do appreciate the subscription as well, because it really does help us kind of grow this channel and stuff. So if you watch every week anyway, please go ahead and subscribe and let us know in the comment section how you playing this game. Is there anything I missed? Am I completely wrong? Or do you think I'm right? Let me know one way or another, but good luck on all your bets here on Sunday Night Football.